Check, check. welcome everyone. We're going to get started. I hope you're all having a good summer. I am calling to order the Tuesday, July 14th Peninsula School District Board of Directors meeting to order. All board directors are present. So welcome. No one on vacation this week. It's great. Please note that this regular scheduled meeting is held to conduct district business. It is open to the public and it is being recorded. At this time, I would invite you all to please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this point in the meeting, I'd like to invite Superintendent Barr to share a statement she has prepared for tonight's meeting before we continue with the agenda.
Yes, thank you. Tonight, I am excited we have an opportunity to discuss a lease agreement with Olympic Civic Services to support the well-being of our local seniors. We recently identified space in a portable at Discovery Elementary that does not have direct access to the general school campus. As you may recall, the senior center was displaced in 2019 when the district acquired the Boys and Girls Club to construct what is now Pioneer Elementary, and since then, Harbor Senior Connections has been unable to secure a location that meets their needs. As a district, we have proven that we care about the mental health and well-being of our entire community. And research clearly shows that seniors who are disconnected from their peers suffer in this area. As a public entity, we are offering this space at a nominal fee, similar to other community partnerships that we have. The portable is already open and operational year-round during weekday hours when the senior center will be open. To maintain our commitment to safety, the district will require Harbor Senior Connection members to undergo background checks and abide by all district policies and procedures. Thank you for allowing me to read this.
Oh, thank you for that. And we do have that item to discuss later in the agenda, so we'll have an opportunity to hear a little bit more about the details.
Now, before we move on, I would like to introduce our new principal, Cara Lance, new principal at Minter Creek Elementary School. Pending the board's approval, of course, of the personnel recommendations on tonight's consent agenda. Cara, welcome to Peninsula School District. We are excited to have you join our team. If you would like to come forward and just say a few words.
Oh, to the podium.
To the podium.
I am so excited to be back in the Peninsula District. I've actually been out for the last 5 years in the North Kitsap District, working at Suquamish Elementary, and to return home to a district where I call home is really exciting. And I'm looking forward to serving the community of Minter Creek. Today I got to meet a handful of students and some parents, so we were ready. There was pizza. It was a great day. So I'm very excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much, and I would like to thank the Minter Creek community. There were many members who came out, and they were part of the process, and I know they're just thrilled to meet you and see you and get to know you. So thank you so much for saying yes.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Okay. We're ready to move on with the agenda. So the first item is to approve our agenda for the evening. Is there any discussion prior to the vote? Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Okay, it's been moved by Chuck and seconded by Lori. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried and the agenda is approved. Okay, so we'll roll on to the public comments portion of our meeting. So as you know, public comments are consolidated now into one single agenda item for both agenda action items and non-agenda items. So each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. We have a long list of speakers tonight, so we will be strictly enforcing that 3-minute rule. So if you can't get in time in 3 minutes, I will cut you off. So don't make me be the bad guy. It never feels good to do that, but know that you can always email us your comments as well, and that it remains part of the public record. So I will call you up to the podium one at a time. Please restate your name again at the podium, and then you will see a timer up here that gives you, it'll give you also a 30-second warning as well. So first up, we have Trudy Helgerson.
Good evening. My name is Truly Helgerson, and I am here on behalf of my daughter, Anya Helgerson, who is unable to make it today. She is a student at Peninsula High School, class of 2027, so an incoming senior. She is at a Coast Guard summer intensive program this week, so she is unavailable here, and she is unavailable on email, no electronics. She had to leave her phone with dad, dropped her off. And anyway, so she had asked us to attend and just review her proposal that she has submitted, and I'll try to make this brief and quick. Anya has submitted a proposal requesting a weighted GPA transcript addendum last fall as a junior. She has been recruited to play lacrosse, and so she's had the opportunity to have pre-reads early in her junior year instead of starting it more in her senior year. So she's had the opportunity to go through this process a little earlier, get feedback, see how some of the different schools review transcripts, review merit awards, and one university in particular, University of Alabama Huntsville, part of the University of Alabama system as a whole, that merit scholarship did not match what her expectations were. And she learned that the weighted GPA has to be reported on the transcript provided from the district or the school. It couldn't be self-reported. It couldn't be recalculated by the college. She had conversations with the school counselor. That school counselor had conversations with the counselor at Peninsula. She had the coach at Huntsville try to advocate on her behalf, but they had their policy. So she researched why her weighted GPA could not be represented on a transcript or any document coming from the school, and learned that there is a state statute that prevents or restricts Washington transcripts from reporting weighted GPA, but it also allows, there's a provision, there's an anticipation that this information would be needed. And so that same statute gives the districts the ability and the permission to provide any additional information along with that transcript. And she discovered that Spokane School District, the second largest in the state, actually provides this for the students. And we happen to have
Your
our
time
own-
is up, so I apologize.
All right, okay.
But you can send it to me, and
Sorry.
And I know that this is, I think, your first time coming to make public
Yes.
comment, so it's kind of a one-way information taking
Okay.
in, but we
That
have
went fast.
received it, and glad to know that she is out doing something very
Okay.
cool. I think she's received some responses, but we will make sure that someone connects with you as well. Thank
Anyway,
you.
that goes by really fast.
I know it does. It really does. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, and now it looks like Kurt Helgerson. So maybe you can pick up where she left off if you're together.
My name is Kurt Helgerson. I'm here to make a request of the board regarding weighted GPA on behalf of my daughter, Anya Helgerson. Washington state law, as you know, requires a standardized transcript. It is very specific about what can be on that transcript, and that transcript by law is required to be on a 4.0 scale. High-performing academics, however, a 5.0 scale is commonly used. It's called weighted GPA, which I know you know, but I'm saying this for the record. Washington state standardized transcripts don't capture weighted GPA. However, they do capture that those honors, AP, or college courses have been taken, which is great, and it also captures that they have an additional, instead of a half credit, some are actually 1 credit, which can have a significant effect on your GPA should you get an A- in a 1 credit class, which is versus a 0.5. This disconnect between what advanced courses have been taken and only allowing a 4.0 scale becomes an issue when generally colleges expect on a national level that weighted GPA to be calculated by the school district or the school and handed off to them by that school district. So you can't self-report these things. Some will recalculate, but we can't tell. There's 2,500 colleges in America. I don't know who does what, but we do know some specifics here from what we've found. Many colleges use the weighted GPA calculation for both acceptance and merit, which is a big deal. If no weighted GPA is provided, they will just go to the unweighted GPA. So our students, Washington students, will have 4.0 when other students will have a 4.5, 7. I don't know. Weighted GPA really gets confusing to me, but it's really high. Peninsula School District students not having that, it puts them at a competitive disadvantages for both these merit and scholarships and acceptance. Specifically, my daughter is affected negatively by this policy, as my wife said. She wishes to attend UAH, University of Alabama, Huntsville, and by policy, that state, they can't recalculate. They'd love to. We talk to them, they won't. They are not allowed to. So that puts her at a 3.9 something, and you have to have a 4.0 plus, which they expect, because that's what weighted GPA and high performance gives you. The difference between that, oh, that went really fast. I had no idea.
Next, we have Natasha Orlando.
Good evening. My name is Natasha Orlando, and I serve as the Program Director for LifeWise Academy Gig Harbor. First, I would like to thank the Peninsula School District for faithfully upholding the laws and policies that protect parents' rights to choose release time religious instruction during the school day. We appreciate the district's professionalism in implementing those requirements while respecting the choices families make. This past school year, 25 students participated in LifeWise. Our curriculum focuses on character-based Bible education, and in our final weeks of class, students learned about humility, patience, obedience, and respect, qualities that make them be kind and responsible members of their families, schools, and communities. I'd like to share one incredible story on behalf of the families we serve. This coming September, a student will walk through the doors of one of our district's public schools for the very first time. This family has made the choice to leave the private school they've attended because LifeWise is available to them. At LifeWise, we believe in our public schools and deeply value the education students receive. Our goal is to complement that education by providing 1 hour of optional, parent-chosen, biblical instruction each week. We are encouraged to see that opportunities like LifeWise are helping some families choose public education who might otherwise have remained in private school or homeschooling. Our community values diversity and inclusion, and we believe those values include making space for families with different beliefs. And we are committed to serving our neighbors with kindness, respect, and love. Finally, I want to extend an invitation to anyone who would like to learn more about the program. Our curriculum is available for anyone to review, and I'd be happy to share a link to our website or answer questions. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service in upholding the laws and policies.
Thank you. And next, we have Dylan, is it Laubry? Lorai, I'm sorry, Dylan.
Good evening. My name is Dylan Lorai, and I'm going to be a 9th grader at Peninsula High School. I'm here on behalf because I realized that menstrual products aren't very available in our schools. I have recently learned that female students have struggled a lot with products not being available for easy access. I have decided to take action on this. I started my menstrual cycle this summer going into 7th grade, and let me tell you, school has not been easy. Menstrual cycles are spontaneous, hard to track, and impossible to time. I've had my menstrual cycle countless times at school, and I know other girls have too. Many have even gotten their first cycle in the middle of the school day. A girl's first menstrual cycle is not only unexpected, but can be scary and embarrassing. A survey in 2018 of 362 school nurses was conducted on menstrual product availability, and it was revealed that roughly 75% of bathrooms were not properly stocked. Our school system is part of that 75% of schools that do not have well-stocked bathrooms in gender-neutral and female-designated bathrooms. Studies from the National Library of Medicine show that going to a nurse's office can be embarrassing and a scary experience. Because of that daunting experience, many ignore the warning signs and decide to just wait it out. For students, waiting it out isn't much of an option, as menstrual cycles can be unpredictable in timing and heaviness. Many students who have not yet started their period have expressed how they feel about the unavailability of products. One student, Adelaide Stitt, had expressed that she is terrified of starting her period because there are no products available in the school bathrooms. Menstruation is also something viewed not only by the girls themselves, but also by their friends. One of my close friends, Robbie Doherty, had stated, as someone who has many friends that go through this every month, the stress they have to face to supply themselves with these products sickens my heart, as everyone should have the supplies they need to support their body. My cause is not only supported by the girls at school, but is supported by my family, my friends, and my teachers. During my time of research, I had gone through the Washington State Legislature. The legislator had made a law that at the beginning of the 22-23 school year, all female and gender-neutral bathrooms in schools that support grades 6 through 12 must have menstrual products available at no cost. The menstrual products included must be tampons, pads, and disposable sanitary napkins. By law, our middle schools and high schools must supply girls with menstrual products. Our district is currently not following this law, and many teachers and students were surprised and even angry upon learning this. Students have expressed feeling scared, embarrassed, frustrated, and nervous about not having available products. As a female student, I have realized that supplies being unavailable shouldn't be acceptable. I hope you can consider what I'm saying and know where I'm coming from. Thank you for listening, and thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you, Dylan. Next is Chris Doherty.
Good evening. My name is Chris Doherty, and I'm the parent of 2 students in PSD. I wanted to speak tonight about the continued LGBTQ and racial attacks on both students and staff in PSD, as well as Agenda Item 6.09, the first reading of Policy 1821, Standards for Individual School Directors. A few years ago, I and other community members began speaking at board meetings about the ongoing HIB issues in our district, particularly those targeting our BIPOC and LGBTQ students. PSD then assembled a months-long HIB committee to research and gather information, which was presented at a board meeting in 2025. That presentation verified information already provided to admin and the board and further confirmed the concerns the community has been raising. And yet here we are in July of 2026 with anti-LGBTQ rhetoric occurring in our schools during Pride Month and zero communication from the district. PSD cannot claim to stand behind our LGBTQ students and community with a single social media post while ignoring the vitriol posted by adults in this community. I expected the district to reiterate its support for LGBTQ students and staff and to condemn hate speech outright. Instead, the community heard nothing. We have admin at our schools who, when a targeted racial slur was hurled at a Black PSD employee by a student, brushed off the severity of the incident and offered only an apology from that student. Calling PSD staff a racial slur is absolutely unacceptable, and that dismissiveness from school admin isn't just unprofessional, it reflects the deeper racial issues this district continues to grapple with. If admin will brush off a racially targeted attack like this, what else are they failing to address? Which brings me to the standards for individual school directors. How is this community supposed to believe that every board member truly upholds equity and respects our students when a sitting board member is running for public office on an anti-trans student agenda? This proposed policy states that a school director must, quote, commit to treating each individual dignity and respect, end quote. There is no dignity or respect in actively disregarding trans students' voices and presence in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Katie Strother.
Hi, good evening. My name is Katie Strother, and I'm here tonight to ask you to reconsider the decision to reassign Mentor's office manager. For many families, the office is the first place they experience at school. At Mentor, our office manager has been that welcoming face for years. She has greeted students on her first day, comforted families through difficult moments, supported staff through countless challenges, and helped create the warm, caring environment that makes Mentor feel like home. She is truly the heart of our school. Last year, after experiencing a conflict with the school's administrator, she was offered a lateral transfer to another school. She didn't want to leave Mentor. She accepted the transfer only because she believed that was her only option. Now that administrator involved will no longer be at Mentor, she has simply asked to remain in the school she loves. Yet, she has been told she cannot return without being given a reason. Her position has not been posted, there has been no indication of performance concerns, and she has no record of disciplinary action. When community members have asked why she cannot stay, we have been told only that the matter is private or that she will do great things at Vaughn. If she is such a valued employee, and we know she is, then why can't Mentor keep her? Our school has already experienced significant change, and we're preparing to welcome a new principal and several new teachers this fall. During times of transition, stability matters. Removing a trusted, experienced office manager from a school that wants and needs her only creates more uncertainty for students, family, and staff. The decision also deepens a growing feeling in our community that Mentor continues to lose valued people and resources. We want to believe that our voices matter and that decisions are made in the best interest of our students and school community. Tonight, I respectfully ask you to speak with district leadership, review this decision, and encourage them to do what is right. If there is no documented reason preventing her from remaining at Mentor, please allow her to stay where she is wanted, where she has dedicated years of service, and where she continues to make a difference every single day. Please let Mentor keep beloved office manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mark, is it Deathman? Sorry, my eyes. Mark? I might be saying it wrong. Mark D. No, okay. It could be Max. Is the last name start with a D? Okay, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Max Strathman. I'm a parent of 2 kids attending Voyager Elementary School. I'm here tonight because I'm concerned about recent changes to our bus stop for the upcoming school year. We were notified that our bus stop and others nearby will be discontinued and replaced by a new stop a half-mile away. We reached out to the district for more information about this change, but we're still waiting their response. I'm concerned because this change doesn't just affect our family, but also relocates the stops for up to 60 other houses on our main road. Personally, we'll have to walk a half-mile to reach the new stop, but other families will have to walk even farther. That's a long walk for a little kid to make each day. District Procedure 6600P limits the walking distance to a bus stop to a quarter mile for K to 5 students, provided there are safe walking conditions. The road doesn't have sidewalks or shoulders, so I'm skeptical it meets the safe walking conditions. I'm concerned about the safety of our kids walking to this new stop, especially during the dark and wet winter morning. This decision makes taking the bus to school more dangerous for the families in our neighborhood. What was gained by making this change, and is this something that could be undone? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jackie Pinkerton.
All right. Good evening. I am Jackie. I have kids who I expect to graduate from Peninsula School District in 2036 and 2039, respectively. I've made it a priority over the last year to understand what kind of school and community my children will be growing up in. There are aspects that I'm excited about and proud of, but I continue to repeatedly see things that terrify me as a parent and are heartbreaking to me as someone who has repeatedly asked you to do your job and the work that you've already identified needs to be done. In the last 18 months, we've had 4 children die by suicide, 3 of them occurring within the last year. Also in the last school year, we continue to hear instances of the use of the N-word, peers telling each other to kill themselves, a swastika was drawn on someone's personal belongings, pride flags were stolen and then defaced, a teacher was called the B-word, and we've had threats of gun violence, and building leadership have physically intimidated district partners. In the 2024-2025 academic year, this management and leadership team did a full review on the topic of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. There's a usable roadmap to address the underlying issues and achieve very positive outcomes. It's so infuriating to have repeatedly come to this board begging you to hold our administration and our superintendent accountable to follow through on the actions that you've already known and outlined. In the 2024-2025 management review, it highlighted strategies that included, but were not limited to, consistent use of second step and character strong programs, addressing harassment and slurs, restorative practices, relationship building, capturing student voice, culturally responsive teaching. It was also noted that we can take a clear stance on bullying, include racialized and homophobic bullying, define and regularly communicate district values, adopt a program or approach to hateful speech that is clear and understood by educators, students, and the community. You must do more than pay lip service, and you have to act to ensure that these policies and plans are consistently applied throughout our building leadership and our classrooms. Over the last year, instead of hearing about progress on any of these interventions, I've seen the implementation of a reporting system that feels like that's where concerns go to never be heard from again. Students and staff who point out issues are treated as more problematic than the issues that should be addressed. Community members who would violate our inclusive district policy are given deference over staff celebrating our diverse student body. It's not an effective strategy to ignore these issues if we're going to effectively support our students, staff, and families who experience these issues. We must openly acknowledge them, otherwise we're relegating our victims to isolation and enabling those who would do harm. I continue to see a desire to celebrate wins without fully supporting our staff in doing the transformative and hard work that has been laid out for them. The youth mental health summits that took place earlier this year had wonderful content. There's inadequate representation from our youth who are impacted. We need to meet our youth where they're at and make this content more accessible. At this point, the prevalence of ongoing harm is either systemic incompetence or this body abides the status quo. I'm asking you to just do the work you've already identified or get out of the way for leaders who will.
Thank you. Next is Sarah Thompson. Sarah Thompson.
Hi, my name's Sarah Thompson. It's my first visit to speak at a board meeting. I moved to the Key Peninsula from Seattle about 15 years ago after a 30-year career as a family doctor and medical educator. My kids attended public schools, and I was an active volunteer. For the first 10 years, I lived on the KP. I volunteered in my community, including as the board president of the Mustard Seed Project, as we built senior housing on the KP, and then as a reporter and board member for the KP News. I left both of those organizations, and I've been exploring ways to support my community and decided that focusing on the schools was the way to go. A vibrant school system that welcomes and supports all of our students and staff is critical. I spent the last few months speaking with parents, students, retired staff, and people who have worked with organizations interfacing with the schools to better understand the challenges our kids, families, and teachers face and how the district is dealing with those challenges. What I have found has left me deeply concerned. The climate affecting the social emotional health of students has been problematic for years. Bullying, racism, homophobia, and now the highest suicide rate of any district in the state are all critical issues. I've been told that the response of the district to address these issues has ranged from inadequate to obstructive. If parents and students are loud enough, the district typically forms a task force, which provides a photo op, meets a few times, and then disbands without meaningful action. Students have tried to bring issues to the administration and have been stonewalled. The superintendent has created a fortress around her, making herself unavailable through emails, phone calls, or meetings. Staff and families love many of their teachers and many of their school leaders, but in general, they do not trust or feel supported by this administration. The disruption from principal displacement and rotation last year continues to reverberate, and I believe at least 2 beloved and valued principals have quit. Staff fears retribution, and their input regarding building leadership changes is often ignored. Our students and staff deserve better. I plan to continue to meet with key informants, and my hope is to form a coalition, including individuals and organizations, to clearly define problems and to identify actionable solutions. The coalition will also identify and support school board candidates for the 2027 election who will listen to our families and staff and challenge the administration to truly make this district one that welcomes every student and creates an environment that protects and values the richness of diversity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nicole Kruger.
Everybody, get on my tippy toes. My name is Nicole Kruger, and I'm speaking tonight as a Discovery parent and the president of our VPO regarding the proposed PSD and OCS lease of property at Discovery Elementary. I want to be extremely clear that my comments are not directed to the organization seeking the lease or its members. I want every member of our community to feel safe and included. Unfortunately, my concerns are associated with the district's decision-making process and the use of school property during the school day. I do not believe the district should lease space on an elementary school campus during the school day when that space has direct access to students. Doing so creates unnecessary safety concerns for our children and places additional responsibilities on school staff who would need to implement and manage additional procedures to ensure student safety. Their focus should remain on safety and education. If the district deems leasing this space during the school day is absolutely necessary, I would have expected the opportunity to be made available to organizations with more direct impact amongst our community. such as the Discovery VPO, for example, which greatly serves our students and were never given the opportunity to be considered. The proposed lease states that it's in the best interest of the school district, and our community deserves transparency on how that determination was made and how the interests of Discovery students, families, and volunteers were considered. In addition to the concerns that were mentioned tonight, I strongly encourage the board to refrain from approving this lease tonight. I ask that you simply take a moment to take time to carefully consider adjustments to be made, such as fencing the property to separate the building from the school grounds, to better protect student safety, increase transparency, and ensure that the needs of our school community are fully considered leasing the property, considered before moving forward. I would also like to respectfully ask the school board to instead consider leasing a property or the property to the Discovery VPO to help alleviate our current limitations by providing a dedicated space for the VPO to utilize for meetings, events, planning, storage, and things that definitely benefit our school while accommodating volunteers and staff. Finally, I want to emphasize that my comments are not directed at the staff of Discovery Elementary. We have an outstanding partnership with our principal and staff and deeply appreciate their continued support. I'm eager to hear more detail about this topic tonight to gain additional clarity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Jessica Whitworth. Or sorry, I don't know I have got the wrong prescription on tonight, clearly. So Jessica, please tell us your last name.
Good evening. Yes, I am Jessica Whitworth, also parent to 2 children at Discovery, and this upcoming year's vice president of the Discovery VPO, serving under Nicole. I did just want to also address the Peninsula School District OCS lease that is slated for approval in tonight's agenda. Just a few clarification pieces. Superintendent Barr said that the space that they are looking to lease is not accessible by students, which is not true. That space is completely adjacent or right adjacent to where the school garden is. Those students walk by that entrance, have access to walk right up to those doors, and the people inside that building have access to the students as they are taking care of the garden. So I think an important clarification point there. In the lease itself, it's stated to be in the best interest of the district. While I applaud the effort to make a difference in the senior community of Gig Harbor and think that steps are needed to make that difference, I would ask that you reconsider that this be the way that we make the difference. I think the idea of introducing non-school related activities, non-school related individuals onto an elementary school campus poses unnecessary risk, and seems to be the antithesis of what the best interest of the district is. I just ask that you guys would reconsider signing this lease, this Discovery VPO. We have chatted, and we are ready and willing to sign a lease for that space. That space would make a tremendous difference for us. We currently operate out of a very small closet in the school, and having the opportunity to use that space for planning, for meetings, for craft nights, for game nights, to build community within the school, to provide a space for parents to come and share and get to know each other, would be an amazing opportunity for us. And we would love to have that opportunity to be considered, but we didn't even know that the opportunity existed or was up for lease. So thank you for your time. And again, I just ask that we pause, like Nicole said, and see if maybe there's a better option that really is in the best interest of the student. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Betty Lilienthal.
Good evening. My name is Betty Lilienthal. I'm here on behalf of the Harbor Senior Connection. Thank you, Superintendent Barr, for I had to rewrite my whole speech because it was all in the introduction, and I appreciate that. We lost our home in 2019, as said, and I have been searching since then to find a place. Seniors are vital for our community as our children, and we want to form partnerships between all of them. We were with the Boys and Girls Club. We work with children all the time. We develop wonderful mentorship programs. And so many programs have been developed since 2019. They're very good programs. We haven't had a place of our own since then. We meet at little places here and little places there. We can play for a little while, then we have to leave. We're in the middle of a deep discussion about the loss of our family. We have to leave because the person has to come in. When I approached the superintendent about our need, it seemed like a wonderful opportunity because we have had lots of programs, but we don't have that space. We don't have that place we can call our own where we can be healthy. And one of the most perfect things with this partnership was being able to connect the senior population with the youth population. There were so many partnerships we wanted to develop, so many mentorship programs, so many things that we can do with our youth that will help us stay healthy as old people. And by the way, if you all get really lucky, you too will be as old as I am today. But I'm way off script, but I'm really concerned that this space has been what we have been looking for since 2019. It's available on a bus line. It's convenient. We don't drive well. Some of us shouldn't even be on the road. So it's very nice that we would have a place that is accessible to us. We would confide with and we would abide by and we would honor every regulation, every stipulation that was asked of us. We have been and will continue to be a viable part of this community. And by the way, we paid taxes to send our kids to school. You're paying taxes. I'm paying taxes to send your kids to school. And you, by the way, are going to pay taxes for the future generation. So it's not just for one group. It's for the benefit of the community. It's for all of us. And where you have a healthy...
Ms. Lilienthal, that's your time.
Thank you very
Thank you. Next is Suzanne Storman-Couture.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Sturman Couture, and I'm talking about the HSC OCS. I have paid property tax in Peninsula School District for 23 years. Only a small portion of that time I had my own children in Peninsula School District. I paid towards the school district every year, even now that I'm a senior. I still pay. So the tax money collected and then used to allow seniors to have space that is empty and unused by the school district is largely collected from seniors. Thus, the tax paid by current parents towards the school district is not being misappropriated at all. Seniors will take care of the property, bringing life and energy to the once empty space. We appreciate being considered to take care of this space, enabling the current parents of young students to have an opportunity to teach their children that all people are important, even old people. Thank you for giving me this time.
Thank you. And finally, we have Jessica Gordon.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Gordon, and I'm the parent of a student here at Swiftwater. I'm talking tonight to ask again the board to rewrite district policy to end the allowance of RTRI organizations in our public schools. We need to honor the separation of church and state and faithfully protect the various beliefs and choices of all families. My family is secular, and I do not send my child to a public school to be prey for a predatory evangelical mission to reach unchurched children. Religious instructional decisions belong to individual families. They do not belong to a third-party organization looking to sow hate and division amongst elementary children at school. It is time to stand up for all our students, to protect all our students. Please rewrite our policy and end RTRI programs in Peninsula School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes public comment for the evening. We'll roll on to item 4 on the agenda, which is our recognition reports and presentations. So I think Superintendent Barr, you and Chris Hagel are going to present from the podium.
All right. Well, thank you. I don't typically get a chance to come over here. Before Chris and I share about the ASU GSV opportunity for our district, I would like to invite our Kainoa Coit from PHS to share another exciting opportunity. Peninsula School District has been selected to participate in the inaugural Day of AI and AASA Education Leadership Fellowship this July. Kainoa and Sophia will be representing the state of Washington to develop AI policy and to work alongside other national leaders. Congratulations to both of them on your selection, and thank you for representing Peninsula School District. Kainoa, will you come and share? I know I spoke with Sophia yesterday, and you have been busy, so come on up.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm Kainoa, like she said, but basically, to give a quick little rundown, we are going to Boston on Friday. Our flight leaves on Friday. And over the weekend, we will be meeting with representatives of every state in the country, and we will be working together and collaborating to set guidelines and draft a bill for. Is this mic? Okay, sweet. We're going to be drafting a bill of AI usage in schools and guidelines for students, teachers, administration, and the community in general. And other than that, we've also been collaborating with teachers and students from our respective schools and getting feedback of what they would like to see in that said bill and what ideas we can bring to Boston with us. So, yes, I will. We will. Me and Sophia will report when we come back. Yes. I don't know. I really don't know what the agenda is looking like, but I really hope so because I've never been onto the East Coast before. I've never really been to the New England area, so yes. Oh, thank you. We are going to MIT, and they're going to be showcasing a bunch of the cool technology they have and advancements in AI, so I'm really excited for that, but yeah.
Just one slide. Yep. Okay. Well, connected to that, earlier this year, I applied for and had the opportunity to interview to become a GSV ASU Google Fellow. And so I was selected. I think there's approximately 30 of us throughout the nation. There's also approximately between 20 and 25 in the UK area. And there is an Eastern Asian group as well. And so we had a problem of practice. And so what you see on this slide is the problem of practice and the information that we will be publishing. And this really is a collective effort. This is a compilation of a lot of the work that we have been doing, both from the central office, but for multiple years with our teachers and our principals, and even connected with our chamber. So I have Chris here to talk about our open adaptive district. It's a big mouthful, but I think that you will find that interesting, and you will be invited in to see the work that we will be doing. We will be publishing, so it will be very transparent, the work that we're doing. We'll be trying some things around agentic AI, what works, what does not work. So Chris?
Sure. So, kind of the heart of this project that Creston is embarking on is the fact that, I've been up here plenty of times talking about the work we're doing and the recognition we get around our adoption of AI in the district. And one of the things we're realizing is the pace of change with AI is going even faster than even we can keep up with. And so we have to start thinking differently about how do we adapt to change as an organization across the whole system. And so borrowing some theory from change management, instructional improvement theory, and also watching what some of the big enterprise and organizations across the country are doing now in regards to AI, we're moving into this, essentially there'll be 6-week cycles of small teams of adults throughout the district trying to improve one small process or program in the district, utilizing AI and then having AI agents kind of adjust and adapt and report back and produce that accountability layer. And then at the end of every 6-week cycle, each of the teams will decide, was this a project that we should implement everywhere in the district? Was this something that we didn't have enough time in 6 weeks to resolve? Or was this something that we had a great idea, but it didn't work out and we really should just let it go? Too often in school districts, we don't always let things go. We keep them going much longer than they probably need to. So this is one of those ideas. And so we will be publishing all of this on the web every 6 weeks. Every team will produce a report about what they did. We have at least 9 teams that we've identified to start the process in September. My technology engineering team is actually piloting this right now. And so we are just at the middle of week 2 of the 6-week cycle to improve the process around public records requests. So you'll see a lot more of this next year. We just wanted to share, when you start seeing and hearing about this coming into the school year, administrators will be, put through some training on this in August, how they're going to work in their teams and some of our central office staff as well. And then you'll start to see what this looks like going into next year. So every 6 to 8 weeks, you will get reports out. The entire community will get reports out as to how things are changing or adapting or evolving based on what we're learning. So, yeah. Yes, David. ASU GSB is a partnership between Arizona State University and a venture capital firm called Global Silicon Ventures. They put on one of the most innovative conferences in the country every year. They really focus on what does education innovation look like. And so partnering between the private sector and a public university, they kind of work out trying to figure out what is change in schools going to be in the future. So they're kind of spearheading that.
And part of our obligation is that we will be presenting at that summit in February. We will be publishing information, and that will be for the public. And that at the end of this month, I will be going to Google headquarters in New York to really work with all of the fellows, the other fellows from throughout the nation, because everyone has their own individual problem of practice. So the opportunity to learn from and learn with and alongside is really quite spectacular. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, yep, that's it.
Great. All right, item 4.2 is our monthly budget and enrollment update with our CFO, Ashley Murphy. And while she's walking up, I will just say I'm working with an intern this summer for my day job, and she goes to a school in King County. They are not allowed to use AI in any of their classes. It's just a completely different just a completely different mindset. So I showed her our PSD AI website. She was blown away. She's using it, of course, I think all the kids are, but just from a district perspective, it's not.
That's going to be problematic here in a year or two.
Yeah.
If districts aren't on the forefront of it. Okay, so this is our budget status ending May 31st of 2026. So this is a snapshot of where we were at that time. I just want to remind the board, so in the months of July and August, we do receive approximately 23.5% of our total state revenues through apportionment for that technically prior school year at that point. So you're going to see total revenue collection, even though we're sitting here in July, that total revenue collection is lower because of the state sort of fronting it on their next biennium, which starts in July. So we'll receive larger portions of our state apportionment at the end of July and August. That first semicircle that you're looking at, that's our current revenues to date through month end May 31st. So we've collected just under 72%. We had expected to be around 74.5%. So we're about 2% under as of right now. Local sources, this is where property taxes or fees, meals being purchased at the school or such, that's the semicircle it funnels through. We're currently at about 92%. At this point in the year, when we're sitting at 92%, that's likely going to be where we're ending the year, seeing as how school is not in session. We don't expect to take in very much money as far as those local sources go through the summer months. State, you can see we're sitting at 70.5%. We expected to be at 70.4%, so we're within 0.1%. So that is trending exactly where we had expected. And our federal sources to date, we're currently sitting at just under 60.3%. We anticipated to be at about 61.3%, so we're about 1% under. We do a larger percentage of our federal claims over the summer month as a recapture of the work that was done over the course of the school year. Okay, so this next slide, it shows you that information that we just went over in revenues, but in greater detail. And so you can see our top 10 revenue sources that equate to approximately 99.6% of all of our revenues coming in are from those 10 sources. And then you see the graphs comparing current year to the past 3 fiscal years. Now we're looking at expenditures. So that green semicircle, that's the semicircle I track for ending fund balance. We do have a board goal for us to be within 4 to 6%. You can see we're currently trending at 5.6%. So squarely there, right in between the 4 to 6% ending fund balance range. Expenditures, you can see that we're lower in the expenditure line item than we had anticipated to be at this point, which is good, and you're going to see it in more of a detailed snapshot. When our revenues come in lower, we automatically start spending less to be proactive, regardless of whether or not it was budgeted, because you don't want to budget as a budget. So if the revenues don't come to fruition, we're not going to spend the money. And so hence the reason you see that reverse cycle there on that pinkish semicircle there. Salaries and benefits, we're currently trending at about 1.5% under where we had budgeted. We did not backfill some positions once we saw we were going to be taking some revenue hits. And then basic education, we're currently trending about 6% under where we had anticipated to be at this point. This goes into the more detailed snapshot of where our 10 highest expenditure areas are. By subject area, basic education, special education, and then also trends it with the 3 prior years as well. Okay, this is our graph showing projected ending fund balance. So that blue line that unfortunately is on the bottom where we have been trending the vast majority of this year is current year. The dotted lines above it are our 3 prior fiscal years. We knew going into this year that we were going to be relying on some fund balance. And so that was purposeful. One of the benefits, though, is you can see that green triangle on the far right. That is where we budgeted to end. And so you can see that we are going to be ending above where we had budgeted. So when we saw the revenue downturns, to include these revenue downturns that we're expected to see in the coming year with the loss of the transitional kindergarten funding and with the increased expenditures for liability insurance, those 2 pieces alone are incurring $2.5 million worth of either loss of revenue or increased costs. So when we see something like that, and we know that the state legislature did not push a ton of money into K-12 education for this year through the last legislative session, we knew we needed to do some current year true up so that we weren't starting the year in the rears. So we do that by holding back some fund balance to help us get the year started. Hence the reason we're going to see a larger ending fund balance than what was anticipated. So we go into a more detailed look of this. This shows each of our revenue areas, top revenue areas and expenditure areas, and what percent we're currently sitting at for prior year and for as it contrasts with current year. The surplus deficit line item that you're seeing there sort of towards the bottom of the page, that's the big red area that you see, the negative 3.4 million. That is total expenditure dollars over revenues, okay? So that's basically stating that we have spent 3.4 million more than what we have brought in this school year. That was the budgeted plan from the get-go. So you can look at the annual budget, which is that very next column, and you can see that our total revenues that we had anticipated to bring in was going to be 168 million, and we plan to spend 178 million. So we already planned to spend down fund balance. That was the intent of what we are doing. And so as of right now, we've spent down approximately 3.4 million at this point. And then as we go through this, we just look for opportunities to cut expenditures to ensure that we are going to be aligned to forecasted budget amounts for the 26-27 school year. At the end of the day, though, our ending fund balance was positive at 11.6 million, which is right in line with where we were last year at this time as well. So that is a solid place to be at this point. And this goes into that information just graphed for current and prior fiscal years. So that is it for month end May 31st. Any questions? That is a great question. So ultimately, when we start looking at this, myself and the business team, what we start looking for are unencumbered funds. So funds that have, even though they may have been budgeted, have not been committed yet through purchase order, invoices, anything like that on a specific target area. If we find let's say a department budget that is currently underspent, we talk to those directors and find out, is it underspent because the expense is going to be occurring, let's say over the summer, or is it underspent because there is not a current plan to spend? If we find that it's an area where, let's say, plans have changed, there's not a current area or current plan to spend, those are areas where we'll start to chisel. Now, let's say we get a mid-year resignation retirement. We look at the type of position and we scrutinize, is this something that has to be filled right now in the middle of a fiscal year? Or is this something that, let's say, could wait till August or the start of the new year, buying us a little bit of capacity for the duration of the school year? So there's been several positions over the course of this year that have been vacated, mostly within the district office and mostly within the operational side of the teams. For example, in our Employee Support Services Department, which is our HR and payroll team, we have leaned heavily into efficiency protocols, AI technology, all of that, and we've been able to lean our system. And so when we had some resignations come up mid-year, we did not backfill those positions. We just redistributed the workload that could not have been done by an efficiency process and redistribute at that point and just make ends meet with the staff that we have. So those are the type of things that we do across the year. Departments are really, really good right now in Peninsula School District about staying on top of their budget. And if they are going to have budget capacity, or let's say they have a budget need that comes up and they don't have the capacity, they bring it forward to the team. It's discussed with the executive cabinet, goes to Creston, and we rebalance budget based upon those. It is. You want to know what? I put my teams through lean training through the state auditor's office. I don't believe it's a buzzword. I believe in its effectiveness, and I believe it can do a lot of really great work within public sectors. Hence the reason SAO puts on the training for free for public entities. So 3 years ago now, I brought SAO in, and the biggest piece when you're going sort of lean, Six Sigma, like the actual lean, right, is buy-in. You need the staff to see the value of what can happen when we lean a process. It's not about getting rid of people, right? At the end of the day, it's about work-home life balance. It's about creating processes that are seamless, that, you know, don't take a lot of additional touch points, all of that, getting rid of the repetitive pieces. Brought in individuals that were Black Belt Six Sigma certified. And we just went through a very basic protocol of, hey, let's look at what our posting process is to get a position posted in this district through the process of getting an individual hired and onboarded. At that time, and this is 3 years ago, it was taking the district upwards of 6 weeks to get a position posted and someone onboarded. Sadly enough, getting the position posted would take upwards of 2 weeks because it was all done via paper. being sent with the pony, you know, a little manila envelope, goes to all the different people, they take it, they sign it. Ultimately, we just created a ticketing system, and everything is done electronically now, and we get positions posted same day. And what we're finding is we're not losing out on our really great applicants because they're waiting for this really elongated process to happen. Higher levels of customer service, because if there is a issue or a situation at hand, staff have the ability to deal with that. They're not waiting on paperwork that's in transit. And when we have questions regarding the hiring process, posting, what was received, it's all electronic, and we have the ability to pull it up very quickly. And so that in and of itself was a huge win for the team, and they saw the lean work. And so then once we did that, they all started coming to the table with, oh, could we look at leaning this process or that process? And so ultimately, a lot of the operational teams, I know Chris has done it in his departments as well, have really relied heavily on this, even before we were really talking AI at the table. AI just allows us to enhance what we were already doing. And so it's worked out really well. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. So think of basic education as a massive umbrella. So when we look at something and it shows truly basic education, it's going to include certificated salaries. It's going to include benefits. What it doesn't include is accounts or coding that's outside of what we consider our O1 format. So it's an accounting structure. So like food service, transportation, and district operations, Program 97, those are the three that are not included in basic education. Because although we talk about transportation quite often, transportation is not considered or funded as if it's a basic education rate. It's considered required for special education students that have a transportation barrier to obtaining education. But aside from that, there's no public school district that has to provide transportation. So therefore, it's not under the basic education umbrella. So when we talk about basic education, it's everything that funnels into classroom support that is not district office operations, transportation, food service. Everything else is basic education. So when you start seeing a gap on that side, in this specific area, it could be things like you have some ESA, or let's say OTPT, SLP contracted staff. You post the position, you can't fill it with a W-2 employee. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna contract out with a staffing agency to be able to provide those services. Once you've done that, because of the Washington State School District Accounting Manual, it hits a different account. So in all reality, it just comes down to the accounting of it. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, that concludes reports and presentations for the evening. So the next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. And I just want to remind everyone that the consent agenda is just items to approve that are routine business of the district. So sometimes the list can be long. This meeting, we have a lot of travel. So our sports teams like to get these in the case that they do make it to a state playoff or something. So they're already approved and ready to go rather than going through the process of getting that approved at the last minute. So we have a robust agenda this evening. Is there any discussion prior to the vote on this consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved by David and seconded by Lori to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried and the consent agenda has been approved. That takes us to item 6, our discussion and action items. The first item is 6.1, the approval of the 26-27 agreement between Peninsula School District and the Olympic Civic Services. So, Ashley, are you able to come back up to present on that?
Okay. Do we want to do questions, or do you just want a little pitch first?
I
and
think
then
maybe
questions?
a little pitch, and I think there are some areas of confusion tonight, so if we could talk
Yeah.
about background checks, fencing that's coming, those types of things.
Perfect.
And then I don't know if we could maybe tag team. Creston, I know the district has been engaged in blue zone work, and that has brought a lot of attention and enthusiasm and excitement, and, you know, does this kind of align with that? You know, and so let's just see if we can get all the
Perfect.
questions and concerns answered.
Okay. So the school district is regularly approached by local business owners, or most of the time it's actually nonprofits, to determine whether or not we have any facilities. This could be an office. This could be a unused portable. Sometimes it's a classroom. Just asking if there's any lease opportunities. School districts don't lease space at market value because school districts cannot be in the business of profiting off the use of their facilities, because the facilities are paid for by the community through tax dollars, through bond initiatives. And so you can't turn around and charge market-based rent for use of the facilities. What you have to do is you have to go through an analysis of sort of like a break-even cost model of truly what is the anticipated additional cost that would be incurred by the district when entering into some type of an agreement. We contracted with another nonprofit agency here a handful of years ago, I want to say 3 years ago, for utilization of an office space within a district office building for them to carry out work that was in benefit of the district. It's a scholarship foundation. They just needed a space to be able to do that work, look at notebooks, all of that kind of stuff. And so we did that at cost. The cost was basically, for them, it was a key card, right? Because these key cards have costs associated with it. So we just broke that cost up through quarterly pieces throughout the duration of the school year. For a lease of a portion of a portable, the portable's already being utilized, okay? So electricity is already run to the portable. Another key piece with this portable that makes it really useful from a community perspective is, although the portable is attached to the fence line of Discovery Elementary, it is attached to a school garden. There is the ability to, with very little work, restructure the fence line to make it so the back door of this portable does not open into the garden area. We actually have a contractor coming out tomorrow to look at that, which would make this entire portable not able to access Discovery Elementary in any means without going through the front door of Discovery Elementary, or in all reality, you guys climbing the 6-foot fence. I mean, that's always a possibility, but it is a 6-foot chain link fence. There'd be a gate on it for the garden area that will be padlocked. Building will have access to that key, but individuals that are in the portable itself, which is our Child Find program. Child Find is run by our staff. Child Find is just a state program that allows referrals for, let's say, it could be birth to 3 services or birth to 5, basically prior to going to kindergarten. Kids can come in, you know, they take tests, they're seen by maybe an OT, PT, SLP to determine what their needs are. We can get referrals from healthcare providers, from social service providers, and we do intakes in this building. Hence the reason why this building was key, because it has direct access to basically the parking lot, but doesn't impact the school office of Discovery, because you're not needing to funnel the general public through Discovery Elementary in order to access the portable. Now, background checks. So the school district here several years ago, I want to say 3 years ago now, we purchased cameras for the front desk area of every school building to include the district office. And these cameras, and they're like a little badge printer, little sticker badge printer. those do background checks, and we do not pay per background check. We pay per module. So it's $900 a month per module. And we can run individuals through there for their background checks. You do it when you scan your driver's license. And so there's no increased cost in order to have community individuals that are affiliated with the program for us to run background checks on them. We're also not stating that Discovery Elementary is going to do that. We have a Raptor module at the district office that we utilize for individuals that visit the district office. It will be run by our receptionist at the front desk. So there's not more work that would be put on Discovery by doing this, and there's not an increased cost to the district that would need to be recouped through the lease agreement either. Discovery is also a prime area for this type of a lease because of what Betty was talking about with it being on the bus line. We do know that some of our senior citizens cannot drive themselves, or in some instances should not drive themselves, as Betty pointed out. But being on the bus line makes it easily still accessible so that they can come and join in on the programming. There's a piece in the agreement that has been put in there that if there is going to be a larger or more well-attended event, that they'd be working with the district on start and end time, so it's not impacting the pickup and drop-off for that area. One of the other things that that we've been seeing with Discovery Elementary is elementary enrollment across the district is slowing down. This is a statewide trend, and we are also prone to this statewide trend. Unfortunately, in our school district, it's hitting specific schools more so than others. So we do see some schools with their enrollment increasing, and we see other schools where their enrollment is decreasing. And Discovery is one of the schools that we are seeing decreasing enrollment. So we have 5 empty classrooms within the building. We have empty portables that are in the back of the building, like within the fence line. That are being used for storage or for like an additional break area for staff. And the parking lot is actually regularly used by individuals attending events at Gig Harbor High School because there is room in the Discovery parking area, whereas Gig Harbor High School is normally at capacity for any of their events that would require more attendance and more parking. So with all of those pieces at play, when the district was approached, when Creston was approached in regards to whether or not there would be the opportunity to partner and provide a short-term location for the year and see what we could make work, there were multiple areas like reviewed, like actually walked to see if it would be plausible, and keeping in mind, you know, safety, security of staff and students and all of that. This specific location was selected because with very minor modifications, it could be truly sort of removed from the inclusion of the district campus from a fence line and from a going through the main office standpoint. So with that being said, question.
Who wants to go first?
Because I got about 15.
You have 15?
You may not ask all 15.
No, I'm saying we
Not in a
just
row
take
either.
turns.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's what I mean, roll through, because
Okay. Yep, Chuck, do you want to start? I've said it's like questions first and then maybe comments at the end if we want to wrap up that way.
Okay.
At the Hugh McMillan Community Center.
Correct.
Designated. That's where I actually met Betty through Hugh McMillan. We must have had a plan to rent that out to the community. I don't think I ever saw an actual policy on it because we never really got to that point before we utilized it for the Evergreen. So Evergreen is now one of those schools that's bursting at the seams.
Correct.
And so we're utilizing that space. So it's not new for us to actually think about the community and to be putting something into place.
No, it's not. And we were actually in talks, and we're still technically in talks with Penn Park in regards to utilization of that gym area as well, especially during like summer months, running movies and doing some programming out there.
Okay. Are there other schools out there doing something similar?
Schools within our district? Or are
Within
you
our
talking
district,
in
yes. or
General.
Other, yeah.
So we have, so for example, PSEF is an individual that we had a lease agreement with
Correct.
up
Okay.
until about a year ago, when they had some changeover in staff and opted not to renew their lease. We have, although it's different because you're talking about before and after school care, we have Right at School, we have the Y, we have the Boys and Girls Club. You know, CIS is a partner of us, utilizes the facilities, has agreements associated with that. Now, as far as like an actual senior center, no. But there's other school districts that run health clinics off their campus. I'm not suggesting that we run a health clinic, you guys. I'm just saying that there are partnerships that are sort of on, that are more community focused, because it's like a community health clinic that operate in district facilities. So it is allowed by law to do this. Ultimately, what it really comes down to, and why you're seeing the language in the contract the way that it's stated, is that it is imperative that the school board find value in the lease of property that's not currently being utilized for another manner.
Ashley, can we talk a little bit about, you know, we have been thinking about Key Peninsula and the lack of childcare options out there.
That is
And we
correct.
have actually had conversations, initial conversations at KPMS. We, in the back, all those portables are being used for storage, and that's quite a large area back there. And so, I mean, we have had some conversations. I know that, you know, grants are hard. We would love to partner because when you leave portables, they will be filled up with stuff.
And
And
portables are very costly,
They
you guys,
are.
to remove from your property. And so ultimately, you try to find some way to provide some good community level involvement in those portables versus, I mean, you may end up paying a couple $100,000 to remove a portable if you can find another use for it. But we had individuals approaching us wanting to look at potential partnerships to open a child facility on district property. The district could do, like, it would be legal to go that route. We just have to find individuals that can get licensed. That's the biggest piece on something like that. You need to be licensed through the state. So we've had initial conversations with that. But one of the things that we are doing as a district is finding ways to ensure that the community as a whole within Peninsula School District find value in Peninsula School District facilities. And so we are trying to open it to a broader market because they, you know, our community members, they are taxpayers regardless of whether or not they actually have our kids in the school system right now or not. And so finding avenues so that if we do have unused buildings, that we can give back to the community in a way just like they do through the payment of tax.
a good model over in Tacoma was Gray Middle School was up on a campus, and then the Hope Center, I think it's called the Hope Center, but it was a compilation of medical professionals that wanted to run like a dental care, child screening, child find, those types of. And so they partnered with the school district because that area was not going to be redone and it existed. And so that really has been our conversation. I'll just expand with the Blue Zone conversation with University of Washington. We had an event that were community members, community leaders were invited. It was an evening to really talk about what a healthy, vital community looks and sounds like. And it's multi-generational, and really vibrant communities have, you know, from birth to grave, I don't want to say, sorry, that there are options that multi-generation, that people know each other. Loneliness is one of the largest, I recognize that we have had multiple suicides, more than I've ever seen in my 42-year career as an educator. So how do we do more with less? Because we don't have more money. But what we do have as a school district is the ability to bring people together. We had the fire, we had police, we had all of the groups talking about what could it look like. And that was just the start. And we know that there's an energy to actually bring people together. It is a difficult time right now. We are coming out of, 5-6 years after a pandemic. Communication on social media, the isolation of social media and technology. And so how do we broker that? And that really was part of the attempt to look at partnering when we were approached multiple times by multiple seniors.
I have a question sort of based off of that. We hear a lot about partnership, and you mentioned, Child Find, where there are employees right at school, partnership, YMCA partnership. This to me looks like a very business-related lessee agreement. There is not anything about Harbor Senior Connection being a district partner. They are not even actually the lessee in this. We're using a third party who is covering the bill for them. How are we viewing this versus a district partnership versus a lessee agreement like we do with a church on the weekends to use, I think Goodman, for example, has churches there. How do we view that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Matt. So ultimately, as Creston, the stakeholders were having conversations, sort of visioning what this would look like in the long run, there was plenty of conversations about, sort of the adopt a grandparent type model, reading to kids, doing all of that kind of stuff, and with them right there, it would be, the ability to grow that would be fairly easy. From my understanding of where everything is, from the time period in which HCS was unfortunately displaced until now, they don't necessarily have a up and running, fully functional program that could simply start from day one, off and running of here's the individuals that we have for you, here's our membership list, this is what we're going to do. It was a partnership that's going to need to be built. And so before basically putting something in the agreement stating, well, here's going to be their deliverables, it was, let's give them a place to actually see the membership start coming in, see them grow this so that we could work towards those deliverables. But there were conversations had about all of that. Preston, do you have anything to?
Well, I think we were really approached by a group of people that wanted to meet together and to have conversations together, like Betty shared, about grief and friendship, and really they just wanted a place to have a coffee maker, have coffee together, maybe play some cards and bingo, and just have a space. And so there wasn't a large, we want you in the schools. It was not that conversation. It was really more, what could it be? Could we just have a space? And so we looked around. We have multiple portables on that site that are not being utilized well, in the back as well. And so, we would welcome having further conversations about other spaces for people to be able to use. Because when we actually went through it, and we went through multiple sites, we looked at all different kinds of sites. So I'll just leave it at that.
So this isn't really one of my questions, but I will, to what you just said, for the record, the senior center that was formerly housed in the Boys and Girls Club actually is now operated out of the Lutheran Church, and there is a dedicated senior center with a director, and it's overseen by the Greater Gig Harbor Foundation. So at a recent city council meeting where they were issuing grants, one was for the foundation, one was to OCS, and one was something else. I said to the city council that any program that supports seniors, whether it's OCS, the Senior Center through the Gig Harbor Foundation, or the other program that the city was given a grant to, any programs that we can do to help seniors, we should support, okay? So I just want to, for the record, there is a senior center in the Gig Harbor community. Man, I was going to piggyback off what you said, Matt, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah, I'm just curious if the only pushback from the community is because of the $50 fee, or because there's access from the building to the school. That's sort of question. And then for the VPO, since you mentioned there's multiple portables, they didn't realize there was an opportunity for them to use the space. Could we clean out one of the portables and let the VPO use that? So at least they get access to a usable space that they said would be very valuable to them. I would certainly support that.
We have other VPOs that have areas in some of the other schools. That's not an issue, and I guarantee you, Danny will be right on top of that as well.
But I mean, if they weren't aware of it, I'd certainly like to make sure we take care of the VPO. Oh, no, I know what it was. On the weekend, if an entity wants to rent a facility, whether it's the church usually have ongoing things, but what if someone wants to rent the Swiftwater Commons for a birthday party or something like that? They have to pay the school district to rent it, right? And then they have to get liability insurance for the day, because I've done this at other places. But how much does it cost to rent the Commons for the day? And then do they have to pay a maintenance fee? So what's it costs a community member to rent the Commons for the day?
Yeah, so the biggest difference at play here is, and some of you guys have sort of keyed on into it in that agreement where it's during the school days, right, is key because that's when we have staff on site. So we have bargaining agreements that we have to abide by for like custodial and maintenance staff. So if they are not regularly scheduled to be on shift, for example, the weekends, we have to pay them, and 9 times out of 10, it's overtime or double time, depending upon whether or not they've worked Saturday and Sunday, in order to be there during the event. Whenever we do rent the facilities, for example, church services on Sunday, those are not regular school days. We don't normally have custodians on site during that time period, and we are required to have a district staff member on site when events are occurring. Hence the reason the custodians are normally on site. They open us up, they close us down afterwards, and then make sure the building's going to be ready to go for Monday. So that is where a good chunk of those costs are actually being incurred. It's because of custodial costs at time or time and a half for that time period. During the school year, we have custodians in all of our buildings, basically from very early morning hours, depending upon grade level, high school or elementary, but for Discovery from about 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. at night during the school year, 10 p.m. during the summer. Hence the reason that's when we're mirroring those hours is because we already have staff on site on the Discovery campus during that time period. Therefore, there would not be additional custodial costs. In addition to that, the way the agreement is working out is, we'll have a custodian there to empty the trash if the building was utilized that day, if that portion of the building was utilized that day. The custodian's always in that building every day because Child Find is there every day. But let's say the other side of the portable was used that day. The custodian goes in there, takes their trash bag. We do our own trash service in this district. We don't contract with a third party. And so some individuals from maintenance, they run our garbage down to the dump. And so they would pick that up and toss it in the dump. That is what a portion of that $50 is going towards is basically dump fee.
Okay, so can I ask one more? Okay, Lori. So I'm on the Blue Zone Task Force, and I think you are as well. And it's a great community thing that we're working on. I guess let me look at I need to put on my prescriptions too. So to move the fence, first, thank you for working with the VPO. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
The fence, have we got any kind of idea what it would cost to move the fence so there's no opportunity for anyone in this group to go onto the campus?
Yeah. So we have a contractor coming out tomorrow. I believe it's at 3 p.m. That's meeting with Patrick out there. From the early mock-ups, what it looks like is we have to adjust the angle of one side of the fence, and we need to put in an additional gate. The gate in specific because of the actual garden. So the amount of actual fence work that is necessary to fully exclude that portable is not significant. Because of prevailing wage, we could end up paying up about $1,000 to adjust the fence line. Once the fence line is adjusted, though, it makes it so that portable, just moving forward, is not accessible from basically the outside of that building, or when you're inside that building, because the doors, all the doors at that point, would exit not in the fence line, but outside of the fence line. So that's all we're doing, is we're moving that one side of the fence line so that one door that accesses the garden is no longer going to be able to access it. So I don't have a hard cost right now because the contractor's coming out tomorrow, but when we ballparked it based upon other fencing work that we've had done recently, that's where we were at.
I guess what about parking?
So that, one of the things that we have regularly taken notice of for parking in that specific area is the fact that Discovery does tend to have plenty of open spaces, and with it being run as a senior center, it's not going to be a one-for-one when it comes to cars, hence the reason making sure that it's on the bus line. We do not foresee or anticipate any parking issues. Now, the group has been very transparent that if we do run into any difficulties with that, or it does prove to be problematic, that they are 100% open to a conversation in regards to that. There's also language within the contract. Let's just say, and I'm not saying that we think there's going to be an issue, but let's just say hypothetically we get 2 to 3 months into this and we're like, whoa, this is very popular. All the seniors want to go and they are all coming into play, bingo, and we have nothing available. We do have termination clauses in that agreement that would allow the district to terminate the agreement with 30 days notice due to impact on the overall educational environment of that building. I don't anticipate that occurring because even as we worked through the agreement and all of that, they've been very willing to work with whatever parameters that we had to set forth. And so I feel like it would just be a conversation on, what we need to adjust at that point, but we do have those clauses just in case.
To that point, I was, as I mention often, a parent at Discovery for 12 years of 3 kids, and also was on the VPO board, and also had 2 kids that went to school in that portable. Although I think it might have been an old, smelly, different portable, but it was in that spot. And I would imagine to the point of the parking lot and the scheduling, if there were, of course, there's a handful of days a year that parking is a nightmare at every school, like the Veterans Day Assembly or, Field Day or the Color Run, whatever it is, that could be negotiated. Like, you're not going to schedule a major event on the day of those things, which are known well in advance. That would be important.
That's exactly right.
I do think, I spent some time up there this weekend again, even though I'm well familiar with that area, but I wanted to see this fence in particular. So I was looking at the garden and the exact fence and the door. And it does make sense to me now how that could be, if you just move that one back part, could be done. And it is unique in that regard, I think, because it can easily be made separate from the rest of unlike the ones in the back that are sort of between the schools, and you're certainly on the property. And then, lastly, just Spokane has had they've had to dig deep with a lot of programs that appeal to the entire community because of some failed ballot measures. And they have gotten really creative with ways to really reach out and involve all different ages of people. And they have been wildly successful with some things that were controversial and confusing at the start. And one of those was they have this was back a few years, but they have an alternative high school in the same building as a preschool program. And it's like in an old grocery store or space that, and it's separated but they do also work together, and it's been popular in ways that no one could have imagined. And then I'm not suggesting this, nor are you, but they do have 3 health care centers now in high schools and middle schools for the community that's underserved in that regard. So there are some creative things being done in other districts. And so it's not super out of the realm of what is, being done in other places. More?
No, I don't think I really have any more questions. I think
Matt.
Do we have any other non-district partner lessees that are during the school day?
During the school day? No, I don't think we have any during the school day that are operating on any type of regular basis.
Okay. Follow up on that. My worry is that it creates a slippery slope of now, bless the VPO for wanting to, but I also think that in the same bucket as other things we're dealing with creates a slippery slope. Is there any worry over any type of litigation if somebody approaches us that we don't want to use the facilities, but they're also a nonprofit, can point the finger that we are renting during the school day on school property to other nonprofits that they want to use it, and now we're discriminated against a different group?
I mean, could someone make that argument? Absolutely. And I would be lying to tell you otherwise. So from a very transparent aspect, yeah, because ultimately an individual can pretty much argue any point of the law sort of against the district. But with that being said, what we would have to do as a district is show that whoever that potential leasee is, that they basically show where the rationale for it is the same values and aligns to, the strategic plan as a whole. So I know that it could be argued, okay, well, a senior center, how could they have the same values as, Peninsula School District? But in reality, this is a group of individuals who are wanting to come together, have an area where they can, have coffee, work on, social emotional grief counseling, whatever it happens to be for the community as a whole. And I wouldn't necessarily say that Peninsula School District's overall core values or anything are unaligned to that type of a mission. Now, could other groups come in and state that, their mission is XYZ for this specific population, so they could argue the same? They could. And then that's something that we would deal with on a case-by-case basis. And if it's something that we truly thought was significantly controversial, we would run through legal.
I think about Swiftwater Elementary and their relationship with Heron's Key.
Yeah.
That is very specific to them. We have seniors that do playground duty and read and how valuable it is. And whenever we go to Heron's Key as a group or they come to us, they're so appreciative of being able to have the ability to partner with a school. And so really looking at that model in a different way, but similarly the benefits of having that multi-generational. But is it ready right now? No. Can it be? Could it be? Potentially. And so
Well,
I
and
just
one of
wanted
the
to bring
other-
that up because that
Yeah.
is specifically with, they just walk right through and back and forth.
One of the other key things to note in this is that we did do a full walkthrough of district properties that could house something like this. And by house something like this, I mean not having to go through the district office in order to gain access to the space, not having direct access to a playground. The only building that we have right now that sort of fits that those items is this basically fourplex portable right there on the outskirts of the Discovery fence line. So that's another one of those pieces. If it was another organization that would have to, go to, let's say, one of the back of Discovery in order to access the portable, that poses completely new issues at hand because yes, it is going to be an increased workload for front office staff. In addition to that, you're going to have to make sure that all individuals coming and going are easily identifiable, which we do with badges, which there's fees associated with each one of those. And then you deal with fencing, safety, security, all of that kind of stuff associated with that. So as of right now, the only place that PSD has that meets sort of the confines of what I was just talking about is this fourplex portable at Discovery, which will now be is half child find program because again, easy access to the community, and then the proposed placement for the senior center activity.
I'll just jump in. Thank you for answering all the questions I had when I first read this lease. I think Matt, in full transparency, Matt and I met with Ashley and Michael and had a lot of these questions specifically related to background checks answered. I think that's great. The fencing and the accessibility, but I want to speak a little bit more to the blue zone and the longevity piece and the innovation. And these are sometimes things that we take on as a school district that might look a little bit different, that raise some concerns or questions, or why do we do the things that we do? And I don't think this was a situation of the district having a space available to lease, so let's just see who wants it. This is why there was not a competition for it, but an intentional choice to build community. And I really applaud you for that, for thinking ahead and for being a leader in the blue zone, because I will tell you, if you went to that blue zone meeting and heard the presentation and looked at these communities, these international communities that have, whether it's longevity or the highest life satisfaction and happiness rate, it is really built upon healthy living, low stress, healthy eating, and this intergenerational connection. And I think if we have, VPO, I came up through VPO too. That's why I'm here, is because I was president of a PTA years ago. There's a place there for you. And I think that if we were to do this right, having 3 generations on this campus will become another model of something that the Peninsula School District can do exceptionally well. And I want to say something. I'm going to call you out, Betty, because we've talked a lot about coming and having coffee and playing bingo. Let's be honest, though, there is significant more value that our seniors will add to this. These are retired teachers, doctors, professionals. They have so much to give. And our students, when we get to a place, hopefully we can get to a place where we do build out some of that programming and connection between our students and the seniors, what our kids take away from that is going to be absolutely immeasurable. And the kids who need connection and who need the extra eyes on and help with reading, or just someone to sit and listen with them. That's what I see. I've said it 1,000 times before over the last 6 years. My family had a chance to live in Norway for several years, and our youngest went to preschool and elementary school there. And we had a model very much like this. And I think if you were to see it in action and see these 4- and 5-year-olds who were walking to the senior center, they go for walks together, they build fires together, they hike in the woods together. It is like another, they call it bestemor or grandma, like it's another, it's such an important connection. And it's so natural for our children to be comfortable with other generations when they have this in practice every day. And same, our seniors look at what our kids are doing, always on their screens. My parents are in their 80s now, so they're somewhat confused about why life is so different. And so it just builds that awareness and the connection. I think I understand the concerns about, like what you have said, like what if somebody else wants to? And I think the answer is because we have chosen this as a value piece, or we may choose this as a value that really does benefit our students. And I think if we look at it for what our students are going to get out of it, not how it might be competing with something else, like there's room for all things to happen here. Number one, address the safety concerns, and it sounds like the district is doing that. And like you said, like if it doesn't work, it's not going to work, and we can readjust at that time. But that's my opinion. Having seen it work and seen it in other places, I think there's a potential huge win for our kids, really, in this, and the seniors, but all around. That's my thought. Any other discussion or questions?
I will keep going. I'm trying to find where it outlines. Okay, so OCS, even though they're not the ones operating in it, it's listed, shall notify the district of new members, employees, volunteers, or agents. How are we enforcing that? Aside from the fact that using district resources to run these checks for a non-school visitor, nominal, but adds up. How are we verifying Steve, who drops in Tuesday morning, we're actually doing this? Because the security thing is very concerning to me.
Yeah, so there's a statement, a few sentences under that sentence that states that if the district were to find that that piece was not abided by, it results in immediate termination of the agreement. So just like in any other situation, we're not, and we should not require individuals of the program to, testify before the district as to whether or not they're a member or do something like that. We are going to rely on, this group leasing the facility to provide the list, at which point we run, because individuals have to also sign off that they're okay having their background check run. So we'd provide the forms to them, they send the forms back to us, then we'd run it and we'd give the go, no go. There's also information in there that states that the district is not obligated to turn over information regarding what it found in the background check, just, hey, this person is not cleared, so they cannot be present on the facility. If OCS or any subsidiary operating under OCS were found to not be in compliance with that, it is immediate termination at that point. And so they would lose their ability to operate in that facility.
What's the difference between the instant Raptor background checks and the multiple week school volunteer background check?
Yep. So one of them is when we talk multiple weeks, those are the ones where you go down and you get your fingerprints run. And so that's considered the FBI level background check. And so when we do a background check on like visitors in our buildings, volunteers, we run the watch report through State Patrol. That does not mean that only incidents in Washington State pop on that. There's just certain things that, let's say, for example, you had a individual, a minor who was 16 years old and got popped for a DUI and had their records sealed at the age of 18 because they completed everything with the courts. That may not pop on a watch report, but it would pop on a fingerprint check through the FBI as something that's sealed in their minor background. Now, anything to do with what we look at as far as not being able to be around children, and I'm not going to go into detail on what those are, but you guys can probably imagine that, that is going to pop on a state, like a watch background check, and it will also pop on your fingerprints. So what we are looking for will pop on either. A lot of it is just how the courts have dealt with the sort of sentencing and sort of almost punishment side of that on whether or not it's sealed or not.
Can I ask a question just to clarify? It was really about your previous question about security. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly also. Is it not the case that anyone attending this program, they would, it sounds to me like once the fence is moved and such, they will have no more access to the students than anyone else.
Correct.
Right? I mean, that's how I'm understanding it, but it sounds like you might be thinking it's different.
No,
Okay.
I'm thinking it's that, but if a stranger right now walks onto campus,
Mhm.
whether they're walking around the parking lot or walking into the building, it's handled there. So agreed that they don't have further access to children, and again, I want to assume the most positive, but I also have an obligation to prepare for the worst. My concern is over another avenue to invite people non-affiliated with the school to just drop in. I've heard from teachers at that school that multiple years ago, I believe, they had a 30-minute full school lockdown because somebody's grandparent knocked on a classroom window because they couldn't find the office. We're further inviting opportunities for things like that to happen. Very damaging to a child. So I understand that they will not have access to the playground, for example, once this fence that hopefully a contractor gives us, it's like, I'm also concerned that we're trying to approve something that hopefully we move forward with on safety protocols. That's my concern. Not that I think that they're going to be able, right now they could walk into the school, but that's the concern. Why is the agreement with OCS and not Harbor City?
In order to sign an agreement with the school district, we do require that there be a certain threshold of insurance covered by the entity. That insurance basically also names the school district as additionally insured. This could be something from as simplistic as you have an individual that's walking into the portable and they trip over the curb and fall down and hurt themselves. Because the individual was on campus for something that would not be viewed as like going to visit the school itself, our liability insurance for the school district would not cover that. Therefore, the organization has to have a certain threshold of liability insurance, a $1 million, $3 million aggregate coverage policy. And so what the information that I was provided is that OCS, so Olympic Civic Services, has partnered with this group and this group is basically acting as a subsidiary under Olympic Civic Services from Department of Revenue and licensing aspect. And then they do cover the insurance and Peninsula, and I did receive the policy, and it does list Peninsula School District as additionally insured.
And not to get too far into the weeds on the financial aspect, because I understand, I will say having a custodian go into a building that's used every day or going into a room in a building that's used every day versus not used every day does have an increased cost beyond what it is now, as well as utilities. If people are using facilities, we talked about weekends when custodians aren't there. If they're there in evenings, Cub Scouts, whatever it is, are they paying custodial?
So the custodial fees being charged for, you're talking about like a normal rental, like in any of our other buildings, correct? Or for
The reason you said that they're not incurring those costs is because it's during when a custodian's there.
Yep.
So other rentals, when a custodian is there, not weekend where we have to pay extra, but during normal hours, do they have a custodial cost?
No, there's not an additional custodial cost for that. The custodial cost is basically built into your rental fee. The time where custodial costs actually come into play are your 9 times out of 10, it's your weekends, your school breaks, your days in which there truly is no one on site for that. And then the renter is given that information on what the additional custodial pieces would be. There is information in this lease agreement as well in regards to custodial costs and fees associated with that if the custodial aspect was found to generate more cost than what we originally anticipate. The group would be billed for it.
Any other discussion? Sure.
Sorry, you guys, if there's no other questions, my foot is killing
Oh my
me. I'm
gosh, of
just gonna-
course. Yes. Please,
Okay.
no other questions. So
Perfect.
please go sit down. Thank you, Ashley.
So, yesterday, we toured a couple of high schools that had performing arts centers that were public access, some of them even during the day, during student time. I love the connection with the community, whether it's the child care center, which might be very similar during the day, or the senior center. I think these things are the way we connect with the community. These are community resources that we are entrusted with. And so I fully support this partnership with the seniors. And I hope it expands. I would love to see it in other locations around our district. I hope so.
Any other comments?
I didn't know for everybody. was comment.
No, go ahead. No.
I mean, I'll just comment. I thought we were going to go down the line, but so I mean, I absolutely see the vision and I understand it. I do personally feel like we went in the wrong order. I do think that there's value in bringing the community together. Chuck used the word partnership. We've been instructed this is not a partnership. This is a lessee agreement with a third-party nonprofit. I understand the value in what we hope this becomes down the road. I would have liked to see what we think it becomes down the road, and then we say, hey, we have a great opportunity to make this even better and bring you closer. Example, Heron's Key, if we said, hey, you can now have a satellite building to be at, we've done it where we've proven out the model, and then we bring them in. Not having the fence ready, originally not having like background stuff in here, like there's a lot of concerns for me. I understand the value of what the completed project is. I don't think that this step is the completed project. I think that there's still a lot that needs to go into it. But again, I do see the long-term value and understand what it would be like if it operates the way that everybody hopes it does down the road.
I guess I'll chime in too then. So are there any school programs going on in Discovery right now during the day, during the summer? Are there any kids on campus? Anyone? Okay. Okay. Okay, and as of right now, there's the community, Senior Connections, I think is what it's called, right? Senior Connections is not using the building as of right now, correct? Because, okay, so are we able to like delay the use of the building until, to Matt's point, the fence is fixed and done? Okay, so I mean, just, we delay it until we make sure that that security issue is resolved. Okay, all right. So that was sort of just, I just want to make sure that we get the security piece. And how long will it take before you get a list as far as background checks? Also, Ashley? Okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
Aye. Okay, so seeing no further discussion, is there a motion to approve the 26-27 agreement between the Peninsula School District and Olympic Civic Services? Is there a second? We need a second to vote, so. Yay or nay? It's been moved by Chuck and seconded by Lori to approve the agreement between the Peninsula School District and the Olympic Civic Services. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, not abstain. You say aye, and the, yeah, yeah, okay, so so it's 4-1. The motion is carried. The 26-27 agreement between the Peninsula School District and the Olympic Civic Services has been approved. Okay, thank you for all the time, Ashley and Preston, for the background information. Okay, item 6.2, as you'll see on the agenda, going through the rest of the items on the agenda, these are all first reads of policies. So we are not taking action on anything, we're just introducing them, and then our next board meeting, we will take action. So again, this is in alignment with our WASDA review of our policy manual. These are all within the 1000 series, which relates to the board itself and board operations. So item 6.2 is a review of the first read of policy 1005, key functions of the board. Is there any discussion on this policy? And I'll go quick, so if you have something, speak up. Item 6.3 is a review of the first read of policy 1110, election. Is there any discussion on this policy? Item 6.4 is a review for adoption, first reading of policy 1112, director orientation. Any discussion on this? 6.5 is a review for adoption, the first read of policy 1113, board director residency. Any discussion on 1113? Item 6.6 is a review of the first reading of policy 1210, the annual organization meeting. Is there any discussion on this policy 1210? Okay, item 6.7, a review of the first reading of policy 1220, board officers and duties of board members. Is there any discussion on the review of first reading of policy 1220? Item 6.8 is the review of the first reading of policy 1310, policy adoption, manuals, and administrative procedures. Is there any discussion on policy 1310? Item 6.9 is the review of the first read of policy 1821, standards for individual school directors. Is there any discussion on the review of the first read of policy 1821? That takes us to item 7 on the agenda this evening. That's our superintendent's report.
All right. Well, what a phenomenal end to our year. We successfully celebrated our graduation ceremonies. Doesn't that seem like a while back? For Gig Harbor, Peninsula, Henderson Bay, and the CTP program, which was phenomenal. As a superintendent, I could not be prouder to congratulate our 736 graduates and the hard work that brought each of them to this important moment. In late June, along with some of our principals and district leaders, I had the opportunity to attend the AWSP, these are all acronyms, and the WASA Summer Conference. It served as a wonderful reminder that as both school and district leaders, we are better together, leading with purpose, connecting with heart. Last week, I had the opportunity to be in Washington, D.C., as the AASA Executive Committee. I joined our governing board members. There are 5 Washington State superintendents that sit on that to help steer public education policy and shape the upcoming legislative agenda. We had the opportunity to be on the Hill and meeting with our staffers. It was a highly productive time meeting with the U.S. Department of Education officials. I actually have been in communication with them, communicating with our assessment proposal that we have on the table with OSPI. And so there will be more to come around that. And the members of Congress that we had the opportunity to advocate for national public education priorities, both in funding of federal programs, special education, of course, but also the FCC. Well, they want to eliminate the FCC dollars for E-rate, and so we had an opportunity to have that conversation about that it's not about screens and screen time, it's all about infrastructure and accessibility and connectability. It was really a powerful time. This is an important time to be engaged in public education. And I feel like we did a really good job as a delegation. Back here at home, I want to thank the board directors and the Capital Bond Planning Task Force both last month and then yesterday, who joined us yesterday. I had 20,000 steps at the end of the day. It was amazing. My feet were a little tired, but we had the opportunity to see the brand new Bethel High School. It hasn't even been, there are no students there yet, but it is absolutely phenomenal to see what programs look like and see what a modern high school looks like. And then to Central Kitsap High School, we had the opportunity to see that. And I think it was the schools are very different from each other, and one is brand new and one is within the last 5 years. But to look at how sites were used, what we liked, what we didn't like, it was very powerful. We had approximately 30 people that attended, and we had all different officials. So thank you for attending. The three of you that attended, I hope it was educational and powerful, and we look forward to further conversation. We've really finished the year strong. We have so much to be grateful for. We have work to do. We are never going to be done as a school district. We serve over 9,100 students, and those families, we just lost 700 plus. And now we will have our brand new transitional kindergarten. Remember that we have additional transitional kindergarten this year. Our work is so important, and it's not perfect because we are a human entity. We have students moving here and there. We have amazing staff members. And so I appreciate all of the comments. We can always do better. We will strive to do better. But we have to do that together. We can't do that in silos, and we can't do that in just the school district in this area and looking at our other partners throughout the community. So I always value, we had the mayor come yesterday and Katrina came for a time. We invited as many people as we could to see, so that we could see things together and experience things together so that we can plan well together. So with that, thank you. It is July, and we will see you in August.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to item 8, board discussion and comments. So who would like to start? All right. We like that.
Seeing the other high schools yesterday, and the ones before, because I've also toured a couple of other high schools, gives me just such energy around what we can have. And a lot of it is the connections with the community, the performing arts centers that are really becoming a part of a lot of these high schools, which partner with the cities or the communities and actually work as a revenue source also to kind of cover the back cost of those. But that connection, and it's something that we've talked about doing in this community for a long time and would be so needed. It would be great. I was a student of Milt Boyd at Peninsula High School, and I just know what that did for me, and I can imagine what it would do for so many kids to be able to stand up and talk and give them confidence. So just having that in our new building, plus all the shop classes. Wow. Yeah, the welding. Yeah. Welding, shop, there's just, and so much. I mean, it's so diverse too. The aerospace, there's a little bit of everything, the medical side. Yeah, I mean, that's what we need to prepare the kids to go into the world. Give them all this different choices, because every kid is different. Every kid going to go a different direction, but at least they'll get a chance to see all these different things and to interact and to have those resources available would be phenomenal. Okay, I'll go back to my corner.
I want to start off by just admiring the people that come up and sign up to speak. I personally love it when they come up to speak, hear about topics that maybe have hit our inbox, maybe haven't, but knowing that we had today people advocating on behalf of their daughter, we had students entering high school coming up to speak on what's important to them, we had people speaking on various topics. I think it's very important that people continue to speak up and always want more from us. There's a lot of great things that the district does. And there's a lot of things that we can do better, not see. We, as Creston said, we serve 9,100 students. There's a lot that goes on that isn't seen by the people up here. So I think it's very important that people continue to come up and speak. Not a lot going on, obviously, because it is the summer, but was able to walk in the home 4th of July parade with Jonathan and the SUP team. So my kids were out there, made some signs thanking voters for approving the levy last year, and that did a really good time, throwing out candy, throwing out shirts, and it was a big highlight for them there. So
Let's go down the line, I guess. Like you said, Creston, it's always fun to go to the various high school graduations, and CTP and Henderson Bay are always a little bit above for me just because they're smaller and more intimate. So those are always nice. He went to the home 4th of July. I went to the Gig Harbor 4th of July, which was also fun. You know, they had the kid and pet parade where only kids and pets could walk. And so it's pretty fun. And they had a hot dog eating contest and free hot dogs. And they also had a pie eating contest between the police and the fire people. So that was a lot of fun. I videotaped that. That was pretty fun. So not quite Nathan's wherever that is up in New England, but it was still fun and well attended and short and sweet. People got to go home and watch the other fireworks. You know, so that was pretty cool. I agree that the school tours. I've been on multiple high school tours also before the one we had this week as part of capital project teams. Thank Jonathan and the others that went with us yesterday from our capital projects task force. I don't know about John or the others, but there's a night and day difference between, in my opinion, that between the Bethel School District or high school and the one at CK. I mean, the vision between the two schools is only like 3 or 4 years apart, but the way the lighting in one and the tech in one versus the tech in the other, and as what's the guy from our TCF? What's his name? Brian. Like he pointed out, and as well, Chris earlier, technology's changing so fast. I was telling them that our new 6th-gen fighter jets now have modular, so because tech's changing so fast, they can just pull it out and then they just plug the new one in. They don't have to build a new $300 million airplane. They just change the core brain and they move on. And so I was pretty impressed by the schools. And I definitely have my own opinion of where, based on my two from yesterday, where I'd like to see us go in the future. But the vision, it'd be interesting to see where the rest of the task force, how their visions come together when we all blended everything in. But appreciated the opportunity. I didn't get 20,000 steps, but my legs are sore today. So I'll just say that. Lots of stairs. Chuck and I, our little knees were aching, but they paused. The guy at Southgate said, he didn't give us more than a 30-second break. I'd sit down to rest. I mean, come on, man, give me a little rest, So, but and then to Matt's, 13. I'm in my 13th year on the school board, and it is it's part of the process for the community. There's been times where my first couple of years that literally no one from the community came to a school board meeting, and it was just school board staff, and that's it. And then we had a lot, then we had a little, then we had a lot, then you had COVID, and it was like standing room only. But I mean, that's part of the process. And the thing is, it's nice and again tonight, and in those years past, that a healthy board, whether it's a school board or city council, whatever, we don't always have to agree. We can have respectful discourse and respectful disagreement. And Matt asked a lot of questions, and we all asked a lot of questions, and He ended up voting no, and the others voted yes, and that's how it works. And it's okay for him to disagree and for us to not always agree on everything. And that's just how the sausage is made, as they say. But thank you for the respectful conversation, and I appreciate all the people that came up and aired their. And hopefully we solve the VPO problem tonight. Maybe they'll get a home. And sometimes we don't know what we don't know until someone from the community comes up and tells us what's going on. Like there's a issue with a bus route change that maybe we might be able to fix that maybe we didn't know about. So, but those are, I mean, and I know that people have told me it's hard to go up to that podium for the very first time and address an elected body, and sometimes it can be scary, and you ramble on a little bit at the beginning because you're nervous, and by the time you get to your speech, you're out of time, so I know it's hard for Natalie to cut them off, but that's part of your job, so you did a great job. Yeah.
She's good at it.
Yeah, that's it. So, anyway, thanks, and everybody have a good rest of your summer.
Well, you failed to mention that we rode on a snappy new school bus to these
so
new high
bumpy
schools.
in the back.
We were sitting in the very back above the wheels, but it was nice bus. So it was great to see those schools and just the very different aspects that can be incorporated, and so that was a highlight. Just real quick, wanted to mention, another highlight for yesterday for me, honestly, was just getting to know and spend quite a bit of time on the bus and talking to the new principal of Peninsula High School, Josh Zarling. So that was fun, and he's very excited. And so it was good to see the enthusiasm. And then just wanted to mention, Natalie and I were able to go to the musical at Gig Harbor this weekend, Dear Evan Hansen, and it was fantastic. I cannot say enough great things about it. It was great in every way that student musicals are always great, but also, and I had seen the movie, so I knew what the subject matter was, and they had disclaimers that it was going to be, some adult themes, but I thought was incredible how it touched on so many other difficult things that students everywhere face from just there were so many subplots sort of in the show, just everything from loneliness to students of single working parents who have to find their own dinner, and just all kinds of different things, and it was fantastically done, and anyway, I loved it. It would be a dream if everyone in the school could see it. I don't know that that's possible, but because the message was just phenomenal. So great kudos to the Tia and Aaron and the crew that put that together, and all the kids. That was all.
Yeah, it was a great play. Don't have much to add. Plus, it's 8:15 on a summer night, so I want to get out of here quick. I will just say again, like in the work that I do day to day, now I have an opportunity to network with people across the country, and it's amazing how many people. Everyone knows Seattle, right? But when you boil down and say Gig Harbor, the reaction that I receive is just one of just sincere love for this place. Most people who have been to the area have visited Gig Harbor or know of Gig Harbor, and I think that is. We are viewed the way we are because of the people who are here and the community that we have. And I always will bring it back to schools because we are central. I think schools are central to all that we do here. And I appreciate that you took the mayor because I think it's important for our other leaders to see what is available outside of our borders. And I am really proud to represent this school district. I'm proud to be able to grapple together with this team with some hard decisions. And stand for something that we think will benefit our kids, whether it's this or a curriculum or whatever we do. It's an honor to be representing our community that is so beloved nationwide. So with that, I will say, take what's rest of the daylight today, the sun, and go enjoy our beautiful waterfront community and your families. And we will see you back here on August 18th at 6:00 p.m. And with that, at 8:19, we are adjourned.